Business ethics. In this discussion, we're going to talk about business ethics in a very practical and usable manner. Most discussions of business ethics start off with a discussion of the theories. The theory purported by many economists for the purpose of business was summed up by Milton Friedman. The purpose of business is to maximize shareholder profit. This was the position taken for many years, but has definitely gone out of style in the last few years, including this quote from Jack Welch: "Maximizing shareholder value is the dumbest idea in the world." Why? Long-term shareholder value demands that a company treat customers, the public, and employees, in effect all stakeholders, well in order to succeed over the long haul. We've had many examples of companies that were doing exceedingly well for a short period of time, but wind up failing or seriously diminishing shareholder value over a long period of time with their focus on short-term ethics and gains. One of the reasons that maximizing shareholder value has been so widely adopted is that it just makes it easy. First, it gives an easy answer to what the goals of the business are. You don't have to get confusing and conflicting information as far as what the business is trying to do. We're trying to maximize shareholder value. That's simple and easy for everyone to understand. It also provides a cover for making short-term business decisions, which are normally rewarded by Wall Street. So management can make short-term business decisions, usually much easier and safer to make, be rewarded by Wall Street despite the fact that the long-term effects on the company can be negative. Positive short-term results normally will increase management income. Management will be paid more, will receive more stock options, can exercise those stock options and get out before the long-term damage is done. And finally, it is usually far easier to manage strictly for short-term profit. The future is very hard to predict because it hasn't happened yet, according to Yogi Berra, and it is very easy to see what may happen in the next quarter, in the next year, etc. It can be very difficult to determine long-term effects. Fairness to all stakeholders is the ethics that companies should be following. It maximizes long-term profit, it is the responsible approach, and it is the ethical approach. Theory means nothing. We can talk about the theories of what ethics should be about all day long, but that means absolutely nothing. The decisions you make mean everything. The decisions you make will affect your future and the future of your organization. What theory you make them under has no meaning whatsoever. Who you are equals what decisions you make when the pressure is on. And to understand ethics and how it actually plays out, you have to understand that there are decision points in your career where you're going to have to make decisions, and they're going to be under great pressure. What you do then will determine who you are. Pressure. When you have to make these decisions, you're going to be under real pressure, and the pressure comes from a variety of directions. The one case, what normally starts at something along this line, the boss says to change that number just this once to meet the expected earnings per share. There are accounts in most businesses' books which are basically estimates of work in process and a variety of things like that that can be adjusted without any real changes to how transactions are processed. And this is where a lot of the problems frequently start. You get that pressure to make that change. That's what the boss has asked you to do. Also, along the time, you have to be concerned with, how will this affect my career? This could cost me my job. If I say no, it may well set my career back. It has a lot of potential effects that could come upon you, and you're very much aware of that. You're particularly at the time of this pressure aware of the negative effects on your career. Those negative effects on your career also will be influenced by how your spouse or partner will respond if I lose this job, or if I fail to make the progress in my career that we have all expected. Throw in a few other factors, such as how will we pay our bills? An awful lot of people now are in the position where both partners in a relationship are necessary to provide income in order to sustain the lifestyle that they're using. If you were to lose your job, or if your future promotions didn't turn out as planned, the economics effects of this can be significant. And then that carries on over to how will this affect the kids, their college plans, their long-term plans. Everyone is always concerned about their kids, and that will be things that come on you. This is real pressure. This isn't the pressure that you may feel about getting ready for a test or something. These are real specific pressures that will come into play in milliseconds when you find yourself faced with one of these decisions. There is no easy answer. Those pressures will affect your decision. And what you do, you can do what's right. If you do what's right, you can suffer career setbacks and potentially lose your job. You can do what's wrong, and if you do what's wrong, you can be on a slippery slope that this one-time event, in this case, becomes every month, and pretty soon you've got an Enron. You can become unemployable because you've done what's wrong, and people won't touch you for the kind of work you're doing. And of course, there's always the threat of jail. There is no easy answer. You're under a pressure to make a decision, and it's not really clear what's the best move for you in all cases. So how do you decide? You have your decision, and you can see something and say, it's clearly right. What they're asking me to do is clearly right. That's not normally a big issue. You just do it. It's clearly wrong. They're clearly asking me to commit major fraud, to change the reported accounts of our shareholders in our hedge fund, a la Madoff. Doing that is clearly wrong, and you can easily pretty much make a decision not to do that. There's a lot of stuff that's not that clear. It's a gray area. Is our work in process really this or really that? It's an estimate number to begin with. Could our estimate be just a little off and changed in order to do that? That's where most of these decision points actually come into play in the early stages. The clearly right and clearly wrong are easy to decide what to do. Those gray areas are not easy. When you're faced with a gray area, I recommend you do the following. Pick the person or people whose esteem you value the most. This could be a spouse, this could be a parent, this could be your children, it could be a mentor. Who is it that you would least like to let down? And then, how would you feel if this decision was broadcast nationwide and those people, along with everyone else, heard it presented in its most negative light? Because that's the way it's going to be presented. If you're not happy with the way that feels, then don't do it. That is the feedback from your own mind telling you that this is wrong and it's not what you should be doing. When it comes down to it, it is not easy, but it's that simple. You make the decision at the decision point, facing all the pressure, and that decision is what determines what you are going to be as a human being.